Thank you for this opportunity to share what we're doing in our school corporation. I'm Francis Dumas-Hines and Andrea Kneubuhler from Evansville-Vanderburgh School Corporation. And we would just want to share with you some opportunities that we work to create in our school corporation. Okay, just to kind of set up the problem, which isn't exclusive to where we are, is that when we look at trying to get a diverse population of students into classes in high school, I think what we tended to find in our corporation was that if you wait until they're like juniors or seniors, you tend to be waiting too late in the pipeline to like get them ready for more advanced courses, those populations ready for more advanced courses. So we decided to look into honors classes in the middle school, and what we were finding is that basically if we look in terms of even just like our math courses, and we look at the demographics as well as socioeconomic status, we weren't really serving a diverse population of students. So what we decided to do was to hopefully provide a tool that we could use to diversify that population. So we approached middle school teachers with this tool. We were seeing particularly that there was kind of the mindset of like, you know, the mostly white and paid populations and students who were already kind of in more advanced level courses or showing that, showing those skills are the ones that were chosen. What about if we looked at trying to diversify the population with other, by other aspects? So some of the things that we had in the tools were things that were similar to what we were already using. Like in the middle, you'll see math assessment performance and reading assessment performance. So we did look at like the more informal measures such as our NWEA scores and our state assessments. And to a certain extent, we will look at over to your right, like performance on grades somewhat, whether they got, what kind of grades they got in the courses. But some of the additional things that we started to implement was like just a survey performance. So in talking just now about student voice, how do students feel about going into honors courses? If they show any amount of promise, if you ask them, would you like to be in honors courses, would they tell you, yeah, that's something that I want to try, that's something that I think about, maybe that's something that my parents mentioned to me or something? Yeah, I want to check that out. So we had a survey that we provided schools who did decide to really buy into and participate with us. And the survey asked about extracurricular activities, course performance, like how they felt they were doing in courses, interest in honors courses over the next middle and high school years, whether they exhibited a fixed versus in growth intelligence, or basically a growth mindset, and then questions about how they felt about their focus in courses and their self-control. Additionally, we had parts of the tool that address some aspects of demographics, such as high ability status, which was something that we did look at before, but also economic status and ethnic status. So what we did with this tool is that we kind of gave a range of scores that, and again, we didn't like add these up. We didn't say, oh, this student has an 8, they should be. But these were things where like, you look at this range of scores and you say, oh, I see some things in like the survey performance, like this student got a 4 on survey performance. You know, if they're on the borderline of what we would maybe consider or not consider, let's just check out this additional piece of information, and then we could dive deeper into the information of a teacher. So it wasn't as much pressure on the teacher as like they were an 8, they should be in a course, but it was just kind of giving them some more information and some options for them to look at so that they can make some additional choices. So in essence, this is what the tool looked like. So they started off with this initial tool. It had some of the specific information about their high ability, economic, and eligibility categories. And then as you can see on the right, it had the range of scores that I was telling you about. So what we're going to do now is just give you a flavor of what that was like. And so Andrea, I always call her like the boots on the ground person, because I'm just like the number cruncher person, and I stay in central office. And she's a math teacher by trade. She's a math coach for the last how many years?
8 years.
8 years. And she's in there with the teachers, and she's really the one who has been implementing this tool and the further information that the teachers use to make decisions about the honor school kids. So she's going to go and engage in this activity to show you all how we did this.
So, yeah, we just wanted to give you the experience to kind of see what we were doing, and then also offer feedback, because we're very open. It's a new tool, but typically I get the privilege of working with the 8 middle schools in our district, and we would take our data, and we would look at our 4 criteria, and we would make our decisions for honors courses based upon that. And we were wanting to get more kids into honors courses, but we were wanting to do it by a more precise criteria rather than just like, oh, these kids look good, let's fill up the class this way. So looking at the whole child, if you would go ahead, please, and take one of the packets in the middle of one of the Ziploc bags. What we've done is we've taken these components of the survey, and if you want to go back to the slide before, and we want to give you a chance to look at this one whole child, like have the time. And these would be students that would be not making, for the most part, the natural cut that we used to go right into honors, but these would be those kids kind of in the middle where it's like, how can we pull some more students in? So I've tried to color code the pieces for you. If you want to take the pink slips, there's 3 little pink slips in each packet, and those talk about at the top how we would score each of those students. And you can see up here that Francis has a range there from 0 to 3. And so as you're looking at those, it'll tell you how you get the 1 for 1 point or a 0 point. And then the pink scores would be combined to make the 3 points up to. The gray cards, I didn't know if you'd be able to see on the gray. So they're actually on the white cardstock. And those are 5 cards that go together. And that's the survey that Francis was referring to. So as you're looking through those, a plus would mean that they did get that piece, and a minus would be that they didn't get that criteria. And so you'd be looking at the top to see how did they get a 1 on this one, how did they not get a 1 on this one. And then those would add up to make the 5 as well, up to 5 points for that range. And then I think the rest, you'll see that the blue is your math assessment. It'll tell you at the top they either had to be above performance in the state assessment or meet the 80th criteria. So as you're kind of working through that and scoring those, I'll just kind of walk around. If you have any questions, please ask. But just trying to look at the picture of one whole child. And then you can record your answers on a sheet that looks like this in the middle of your table. And so just kind of the fun overall outcome we would love you to do is just decide, do you think this child is good for an honors course, or maybe not at this point? And there's no right or wrong answer. Over and you kind of want to see where we fell. This is where we fell. And again, no right or wrong answer again, and I hope you cut conversation short. But when you're looking at ELA, this is what we would have put them in the past for each student. So student 1, in the past, we would not have put them in honors. We still wouldn't based on this criteria. Math, same way. You can see there's some similarities, and then there start to be some differences. And just kind of one thing you guys asked about the survey, in the work we were doing, we weighed the survey pretty heavily, because the survey was something that it was not getting the parent input, it was getting the student input, and that was what we valued. So
we were having a discussion around grades. How heavily are grades weighted in your formula?
So grades are very, very inconsistent in our district. So in this, we put it as a very small piece. It's not a piece we looked at prior, and it's really not a piece we're looking at now, unless they're just really in that. It's just one thing. So yes,
Thank you.
That's a good point.
Like some students have high ability status, like what is that based on? Is it test scores or is it something else?
High ability is identified, so don't know, I think it's called different things in different districts. But if they hit a benchmark in NWA, then they go on to further testing with the COGAT testing. And then, I don't know if we want to speak more to that, but it's a way that they're identified in our district.
But mostly be a testing the company.
Okay. I was curious because you also have like the NWA test as part of the other.
That's kind of our screener piece, and then if they hit 80th percentile on that, then they go on to the next piece to see if they have to hit the benchmarks in COGAT. I don't know how much on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, really quickly, we looked at enrollment, and at the schools who were really invested in, and used the tool, and we're just overall invested, school E tended to have greater distribution of students this fall as compared to last fall. And similarly, school E did for math and also for language arts. And then for socioeconomic indicators, we had a number of schools that seemed to increase their diversity with respect to that aspect, comparing last year and this year for both math and ELA. And then we looked at semester one. I think we presented it in fall, so we looked at semester one and then we revisited it again our last grading period right before we came here to the conference. And it did hold up that for school E, the distribution of grades seemed to be pretty, like there was nothing about the students who were in those courses that seemed like they weren't keeping up, or there were any regrets or downfalls in terms of that they weren't keeping up with their grades. The probably only exception was school H with math, between the high and low socioeconomic status. But for the most part, just with this pilot year, just with the few schools that were on board, it seemed to be the case that it justified the efforts that we were doing. And just really quickly, we did have some summer PD that, thank you, Johns Hopkins University PAS provided. We did PD, so there were some opportunities that we provided in the summer for those teachers to prepare them for this influx of students and to move away from the mindset that we were talking about initially that teachers might have had for addressing a diverse number of students. So that's what we have. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating in the activity.
Thank you.
And,
That's great.